Let me start, if I may, just before you get going. We didn't get to your policy on grinder pumps.
Okay.
Do you want to do that? Why don't we do that first?
We can do that. It's whatever. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
As long as we get to it, that's fine.
Philip has presented the board with a policy on grinder pumps, which he had initially brought up at our last meeting, and I believe you circulated.
Yes, I have. Yep.
So why don't you take it from there?
All right. This is in relation to the emergency response to residents with grinder pumps during power outages policy, and I'll just read it to the board. Where the town of Chelmsford, through its sewer commission, has adopted a policy to pay for and install grinder pumps at certain residential properties, the Board of Selectmen is establishing the following policy to provide emergency relief to those residents during long-term power outages. The town of Chelmsford, through the Department of Public Works, shall set up an emergency response system to provide relief during power outages to residents with whom the sewer commission has installed grinder pumps. In the event of a long-term power outage affecting residents with town-installed grinder pumps, the town shall hook up to the affected pumps with portable generators every 12 to 24 hours during which the power outage continues for the purposes of emptying out the contents thereof.
All right. Discussion. I'd like to propose an amendment, and let me tell you what I'd like to amend. I think that if we're going to get into providing emergency electrical response, that we don't need to necessarily limit it to those people who have commission-installed pumps. If someone's got a problem pushing household effluent out to the street, that we should do it to anyone who has a grinder pump. I don't think that it opens the window of financial exposure that much greatly. We still have a very finite group of people in town who have grinder pumps. So, depending upon how the rest of it.
I guess the question will be, is the town aware of exactly which individuals have, let's say, a privately installed grinder pump as opposed to
Sure.
town installed?
We have that list.
I would think we would have that list, but I think in this case I would think that we'd really want to limit that to grinder pumps, the single residence grinder pumps, versus the larger pump stations that are privately owned.
That's what I intended, just single-family home grinder pumps, not multiple unit dwellings.
That's fine.
Would you accept that?
Absolutely. To provide, let's see, so it shall have emergency response.
Residents with grinder pumps.
All right, to residents, single-family residents, what do I say?
Yeah.
Family residents with, and then we'll delete whom the sewer commission has installed, and I'll just read. The town of Chelmsford, the Department of Public Works shall set up an emergency response system to provide relief during power outages to single-family residents with grinder pumps, period.
Good. That's good policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? No. Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Susan?
What will the term long-term be defined in the emergency response system, or how is that?
Long-term I have just as
needed.
something that lasts every 12 to 24 hours. If it goes 3 days, then every 12 to 24 hours it has to be pumped out for the full
Right,
3
I know,
days.
but I'm just saying that will be defined, I would assume, because long-term is not what one person thinks long-term isn't what somebody else thinks is long-term.
And I would think that the system that's established by the DPW director would obviously include the process of notifying the town that there's an outage and when that notice should take place and when we would move out to take care of that.
And shall means must?
It sure does in my book.
Absolutely. Will do.
All right.
Yep.
Fine.
Obviously the board can do as they wish with any of this. I have to support this policy. I think Peter's amendment is an excellent one. Is the board going to waive their normal policy of waiting weeks?
Well, I think Philip did bring it up at the last
Brought
meeting.
up the last, and we told him to wait until this one.
So we know it goes into effect.
All right. Any further discussion?
Bernie, do we have generator capacity to handle it?
We will.
Good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Now why don't we get back to your reports?
Actually,